Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Swear.
Okay,
Sir, state your name, please.
Javier Sang.
You're known as Jay.
Sang, S-A-N-G.
okay, so what I'd like you to do, sir, is just put your chair up as close as I can to the microphone, talk right. You don't have to touch it with your mouth, but just talk right into the microphone, please, sir.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Sir, what do you do for a living?
I own an independent record label based in Miami, Florida.
What's the name of the label?
Rebel Music.
Rebel Music, okay. And sir, are you familiar with my client, Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Okay, how are you familiar with him?
Well, part of my job as a label and artist manager is you stay in tune with new artists and relevant artists in music and hip hop culture. So I became familiar with him both through him creating a buzz and then artists that I work with making me aware of what he had going on as an artist.
And Judge, I just want to proffer to you, Tyler's new manager is actually his brother, Jaquavius, who's up in Georgia right now with COVID.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry
he-
to hear that.
Yeah, and he was able to have this gentleman come up for the purposes that I wanted to have him call, which is to discuss this, the music business itself and how it works.
Okay,
Mr. Sang, please explain to the judge how this particular music business works, this realm of the music business.
Well, music business is basically, you start as an artist, you get yourself off the ground, like creating a buzz, whether it's locally or virally, like on the internet. And once you create traction and start showing like a proof of concept, you're able to generate streams, generate views on platforms like YouTube, then it's just continuing to grow the audience, actually selling records and then going on to like promoting yourself physically, like throughout the United States, whether it's shows or press outlets, radio stations, and whether, it's something that in the position that I'm familiar he's in, he'd either continue to build like as a business for himself, or there would be major record companies that would partner with him to further fund it and further get him out there and break him as an artist. So that's how the business works. To answer your question.
Yes, sir. Are you aware that Mr. Jackson, I keep wanting to say Mookey, are you aware that Mr. Jackson had at one point 25 million hits on the internet?
Yes.
What does that mean?
That means that he essentially was able to build himself as a business, because millions of streams online means that whether like on YouTube or the platforms like Spotify and Apple, that he's generating at that point tens of thousands of dollars, even hundreds of thousands of dollars doing those type of numbers.
Who's he generating that money for?
I'm not aware of his exact like business structure, so I don't know if he's collecting that himself or if a production company is collecting that.
It could go to the production company.
Yes.
Now, you have a couple artists under contract yourself right now. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, without, you don't need to name them, but how have they done?
So I have about 4 artists from Florida that I've partnered with that have sold either like gold equivalent on the single or like multi-platinum success amongst those 4 artists. And like
What happens with that money?
you collect it as a record company, and then you further fund the business or continue to advance the artist based on like how you're running the business.
Now, when you say advance the artist, you know what the term spin-off means?
Spin-off? No.
What would be the term you would use if an artist reached a certain level with you where you did not feel you were able to promote him any longer and you send him to a different or a national label? Isn't there a term for that?
Yeah, I think what you're referring to is when you're a production company, if an artist gets to a certain success, then one of the major distributors, such as Warner Music, Sony, Universal Music Group, they would seek to either partner with the artist or the production company to then fund it further. So, and yes, that getting to that point does make money for the artist or both the artist and the production company.
So based on your experience, these rappers who are making these videos online, is that a legitimate business?
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with being a gangbanger or in an organized gang?
Can you rephrase that?
Somebody who makes a rap video and the video takes off, does that mean the person must be a member of a street gang?
By your question, that doesn't automatically mean that. No, the music video, no.
Okay,
Just the success of the music video.
I don't have anything further, Your Honor.
Okay, so a person who wants to be a music star
Mhm.
will produce his own YouTube videos or get someone locally who will help him produce it.
Yes.
And then they put it on the internet.
Yes.
And then if people like it or he gets a hit on it, then that's creating the buzz
Yeah, and revenue.
and revenue. How does one get revenue?
So the music would be distributed through a distributor, and that distributor then collects the money and pays it out to the artist or the production company or the artist partner.
So when you say distributor, so he wouldn't put his own music video up on YouTube?
I'm not aware of how he put his music videos online. So it could be the artist, it could be the artist manager, it could be the artist partner
Okay,
in distribution.
all right. And then if somebody hits on it, does that generate money? Is that how it generates money or what?
Yes. Yeah. The more eyeballs, the more money that's generated.
Okay, all right. Questions based on mine, Mr. Rao?
No, Your Honor.
Cross-examination. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
Your
no
Honor.
problem.
Mr. Sang, have you ever personally spoken to Mr. Jackson?
Yes. About a couple years ago,
Okay, and was that when he was in or out of custody?
he was out of custody.
So you first met him a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
How many times have you communicated with him in total? Can you estimate?
Maybe I would not be able to answer correctly. Somewhere under like 10 times, maybe
Under
between 5 to 10. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Maybe between 5 to 10 times we communicated with each other.
5 to 10?
Yeah.
And so would you say that we've heard his brother is his manager. Would you say that his brother is more in charge of his music, I'm assuming at this time?
I'm not aware of how he's handling his music right now.
Okay, so you don't know anything about the details of the brother's management of his music.
No, I do not.
You're speaking of streaming primarily when you're talking about revenue, correct?
Yes.
So what platforms do you manage other individuals streaming their music from?
All digital platforms that you can distribute music to, really. So that includes Apple Music, YouTube, Spotify, and other major platforms such as those.
Speaking specifically of YouTube, I believe Her Honor was asking you questions. So about how you generate money from posting a video on YouTube. And can you say what the average amount of money an individual earns from a specific amount of views or likes or comments, et cetera? We're talking about YouTube right now.
It's usually about between $1,000 to $2,000 every million views.
Every million.
hmm
Okay. Now you mentioned that you manage artists here in Florida. Is there anyone here in Jacksonville that you've ever worked with?
Yes.
Okay. And who's that?
SpotemGottem.
All right. Now SpotemGottem is close to Mr. Jackson. Would you agree?
Yeah, they know each other.
And how long have you managed SpotemGottem's music?
Somewhere between at about 2 years or so.
Okay. So you've known SpotemGottem for around the same time?
I met Tyler before.
Okay. Now, do you have a contract with SpotemGottem?
Yes.
And does that contract involve revenues that you're managing about over streaming music, or is it streaming music and more?
And more.
Okay. What other services do you offer as his manager other than overseeing his streaming revenue?
Yeah, I'm not his manager. I'm his partner as a label company.
Okay.
So what I do is I help with funding the music, the strategy, and the marketing and promotions of the music.
You help with marketing and strategy. Does that mean just putting his name out there and attempting to, I guess, further his music?
Yeah, exactly. Further his music and his career.
Okay, so just briefly, my last question would be what are some ways that you do that?
There's a lot of ways. There's touring, there's getting the music to bigger platforms such as Apple or Spotify and editorial placements. There's radio promotions. There's helping in the A&R process of the music, like actually creating the music. So working with bigger producers, working with mainstream artists, just anything that actually can push the talent further to have a career.
And there's no other artists locally here in Duval that you've ever worked with other than SpotemGottem and
I'm sorry.
speaking, Mr. Jackson.
No, and I'm not sure if I got your question the right way because you mentioned him, but yes, only SpotemGottem, and I never worked with Mr. Jackson. I only had a contact with him because I became aware of him as an artist that could be successful. So I was exploring possibly working with him.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I have no further questions.
All right. Mr. Sang, can he be permanently excused?
Yes, Judge.
All right, sir, thank you for your time and testimony. You're permanently excused. It means you can go about your business, or you're welcome to stay and watch if you'd like.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
Mr. Trump?
Yes, Judge. Next, we would